All right, guys, we got Coach Gibbs on. We're going to talk the three safety defense here today. We've had Coach Gibbs on in the past. Fantastic defensive coach. And we're going to let him roll because we're probably going to need most of this time. It's going to be clinic style. So we're going to go through it, and then we'll kind of ask our questions along the way. Coach, you can see this. Can you know how to present from there, from where that is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll let you go, give the background, and go from there.
Okay, awesome, guys. How you guys doing? I apologize for my little camera technical difficulties, but I appreciate Coach Schuman, Coach D having me on. So just real quick, been coaching ball for over 20 years. Coached in Jersey, coached in Florida. Started this system in 2020 when I was a head coach for the Japanese national team, and we installed this and actually beat the U.S. national team in AT&T Stadium. So I've used it for the last 5 years, and kind of hang our hat on getting speed and athletes on the field. And I'm located down in Naples, Florida. We don't really have a tremendous amount of size with our guys. So when we say three safety, I know automatically everybody goes to Iowa State. And that's kind of where the background and the foundation of all this is. But what I've kind of done is over the years, talking to different coaches and kind of seeing what fits our guys best. Our three safety style is more about getting speed and athleticism on the field. Now we will play some true three high stuff depending on, down and distance and things along those lines. But what I wanted to do today is just kind of walk you guys through like our base install, like week one and kind of go through anything that, you guys can take away and kind of what we look for in our guys. So, first thing we look at is when we look at how we're going to go against 10 personnel. And again, there's a multitude of ways to do things. This is just kind of how we do day one start. So this is our Baylor front, which is our 3 down. And basically we would talk about the linemen. 2 years ago, was really blessed to have a really good group of kids. And, we kind of went away from the prototypical, small size guys. We're actually pretty big up front, but we were athletic. But generally, your 3 down linemen have to be able to move, have to be able to slant, we don't ask our guys to 2 gap just because I just don't, think that puts our guys in the best position to be successful. Now, if we have a guy that can do it and I feel comfortable with the guy coaching it, that'll be a different story. But, down in Florida, our bear and deer don't, the bears don't hibernate down here like they do up in Jersey. So our guys are constantly outside and, moving around and lean, things like that. So that kind of, sets the key precedent for us up front. But basically we're going to start out in a 0 and 2 4s. And we're going to move away from the back, our nose, and we actually turn it into like a mint front. We usually get to, as slanting nose, which would become a shade, and then 2 4 eyes. But we will play some 5 technique depending on the run scheme, away from the back. That just depends on, what we're gonna see, during the week. So, those guys got to be able to, obviously, be penetrators in their gaps. But also they have to be able to be, mobile and have a multitude of responsibilities as we get into the defense. Our 2 inside backers, our Mike and our Jack. Our Mike basically is like our plugger. If you got a guy that's just a downhill guy, honestly, when you look at this picture, he has with the A gap and B gap taken to his side, and then he has the Viper sitting outside of him. He's basically free to the football. So if you want to have a guy that's just like your old school plugger type of dude, like that's the kind of guy that, that we had. Our Mike this year was second team all area and is coming back for a senior year. So the Jack, which would be technically the quote unquote will backer, we're going to ask this guy to do a decent amount of just other things other than playing that A gap to the running back. He'll have to get up on the line in our 4-2-5 stuff. He'll have to move around when we get into our pressure stuff. But again, this is just like basic day one. He's an A-gap player to the football. And when it comes to pass responsibilities, basically they're hook players. Left linebackers, left hook, right linebackers, right hook. So we're gonna show pre-snap a very light box, but we're gonna post-snap. We're gonna move. We start everything in press too high when it comes to our 3-down stuff. So why I like that is because it allows the kids to really not have to think. We're playing fast. They don't have to worry about their alignment and things like that. So that's kind of how we start the whole back end picture. But our Viper, who's like our nickel or our Sam or Spur or whatever, Talon or whatever anybody else calls it. Um, he goes to the pass strength. In this picture, we're gonna be playing cover 2, Tampa 2 to the Viper side. So he's a apex defender, hook curl, and then obviously he's a C gap fitter in the run. But he's got to be able at some point during the year. We're gonna be able to, if we get motion, and we'll talk about in a second, we're gonna be able to rotate these guys, and move and play a multitude of different coverages. But he's got to be able to run with 2 down the chute, because we do play a lot of trap coverage, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. But he is a true hybrid player. Our field corner, we play field and boundary. Our field corner and field safety, there we look for more athletic type dudes, like more coverage than physicality, I guess is the best way to describe it. Generally, our field safety is probably like a basketball player who can play the half or the middle, go up and get the ball, and play some man coverage. Our field corner will have to fit the run in trap, but that's if they're going to try to stretch the ball all the way out to the field with the ball on the hash. Our boundary corner and safety, these guys are obviously more physical, because we're going to get run into the boundary, formation into the boundary. We'll get some type of screens or things along those lines, but those guys have to be able to play coverage. And I coach the secondary, so I put a lot of pressure on our guys to be very detailed, and also become great students of the game to understand what we're trying to each week. Our middle safety, our rover, this is the guy he's your dude. You're going to ask this guy to play, like in this picture, he's a low hole robber. He's not accounted for in the RPO game. So his base rule when we start installation, before we get into the crazy stuff, is he finds number 3. So right now, 1, 2, the back is 3. So he's gonna be an extra hitter in the box. He's gonna banana fit on zone read, and obviously he's unaccounted for if they want to run any type of slant off any kind of inside zone or one back power RPO. So that's why this safety knows, like, hey, if I get any kind of inside intermediate, my boy's sitting right here. He's looking to rob it or separate him from the ball with extreme athleticism, I guess is the PC term to say nowadays. So that's kind of how we will go day one. So this is Baylor, and then we're playing split field. We're playing like a press quarters look here, and we're playing Tampa 2. And like I said, we'll get into like a bunch of different post snap, movement, whether we stay, open middle, close middle. Really, it depends on what you want to do with this guy. Do you want him to, play in the middle of the field? Do you want him involved in the run fit? Do you want to pressure him? We get into our 4-2-5 stuff. The jack will walk up and we'll stem away from the back, and he'll just walk into a 30 technique in the box, to play a true 4-2-5. So that's kind of how we look at our 10 personnel. Next is, and the thing with the defense, coach, to be honest with you, is I want numbers everywhere, right? So we're 3/2 here. All right. We're 4/3 here with him unaccounted for in any part of the RPO. Look, the next kind of phase is what we call our Apache check, which again, it's about numbers, right? So Rover's rule is to find number 3. Okay. So we're playing Tampa 2 here to start. He has 3 control. So even a hitch to me is 3 control. The only time he won't lock on 3 is if we get, a really, really low under, or, we get a new number 3 with him going out, and maybe this guy becoming the new number 3. They're running some kind of wheel or switch routes. But that, again, to me, it's like we're facing a lot of RPO down here. So
right.
To me, RPO coaches not want to do. They just don't want to hand the ball off, right? They want to pull it. And, you watched, Arizona State and Texas yesterday. I mean, I think second play of the game or first play of the game, Texas went, on RPO and banged it for like 60 yards. All right. They don't want to hand the ball off. They want to get the ball to the perimeter or get it up the seam to their best players. Now, The single
Right.
receiver side.
And coach, not to interrupt, but like I think that's kind of why the evolution of this is the way it is, right? Because especially down where you are in Florida, where you're seeing a lot of more empties or spread looks, and the RPO game is such a pivotal part of just football in general down there. A lot more, I would say, obviously, than up here. That's kind of how the evolution of this defense kind of came about. Am I wrong in saying that?
No. I mean, I think when Coach Heacock kind of came up with the idea of doing it, I think, that time, in the Big 12, before you had, all this craziness with conferences, I think, they were seeing that on a pretty, a significant basis. So yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. Again, to me, it's a numbers game. It's about having guys unaccounted for, in the run fit, not being able to be read and things like that.
Yeah.
But going back to the single receiver stuff. So we have we have 3 rules when it comes to the single receiver side. In spring ball, it'll be 2. We'll either play trap, which is our blue, or play invert, which is our Indiana, and we can bracket when we get into our cover 7 stuff down the road. But for the most part, the corner will make the call. He'll tell the safety, because again, if he's trapping and we get speed option or run this way, he has to fit the run. So if he doesn't feel he can fit the run, if this guy's really, really wide, he's going to make an Indiana call. So basically, he's going to lock on one, and then the safety becomes that flat, that force defender in the run game based on this guy's width. So I'll start calling that in the spring, and eventually I'll let those guys, when I trust them, I'll let those guys take ownership of that based off what they think their skill set is. So that's our base, like day 1, 10 personnel, 2x2, 3x1 open check, and then get into the fun stuff. So this is kind of
do you see a lot of like, what do you, obviously, it's a lot of spread ball down there. Are you seeing any like 2-back stuff or any of that kind of stuff? Or is it mainly a lot of 10 personnel and that type stuff?
No, we'll see some 2-back stuff. I mean, for the years I wasn't, when I was at Golden Gate last year, and, we always play Naples, and they're split back veer. They run power and things like that under center. I mean, very rarely do you see that. We had a single wing team in our district for like 3 years. It's not like,
which is where, up here, that's all it is. You know what I mean? Like, you're seeing a lot more of that, right? Obviously, yes. I mean, think about it. You were in the shore for all those years. I see a lot more run than we do pass. That's for sure.
Right. I think too, it's like, down here, it's just the way guys have learned, or they go to spring ball at Florida, or at UM or stuff like that. Like, you're seeing a lot of 10 and I think 11 personnel being able to move that Y around has become something we've seen pretty consistently. Just like a couple of years ago, like when with Georgia, it was everybody wanted to go 13, right? Everybody wanted to be with Bowers and all those guys. They wanted to be 13 personnel. So yeah, like we see it very sparingly. Like I don't remember, since I moved down here, I think I've seen the wing T once.
Which is crazy. I mean, that's just, it's wild to think that, but
yeah. But like I said, it's you just figure out what guys are running, and try to come up with a game plan that's going to help your kids be successful. And I think a lot of the pressure stuff we do with the trap, I think, to me, trap coverage, if you can teach it in high school and are successful, I think it's a great equalizer, because it's going to take away the short pass game. It's also going to allow you to add run fit late from the perimeter. And we were talking about this as a staff the other day, because we were sitting there watching a little NFL, and I was like, man, because that's all man and quarters and some all match, and I'm like, why don't these guys trap? And my head coach is like, because the quarterback can throw it over the corner with a lot of velocity. And I'm like, I never really thought of it in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But to me, in high school football, if you can teach trap coverage, I mean, it's going to take away that quick stuff. And then, like, here, this pressure for us is a our Panther pressure, which is basically we can run the same pressure to the back or to the passing strength. So like for us, Panther is P, Bama is to the back. So the Viper knows when he hears P, he's got to go to the passing strength. B, he's got to go to the back. And then it just, this is out of our Georgia, which is our 4-2-5 stuff. So our jack is walked up and we get a wide rush by this end and we slant the nose. And then this tackle has to decide whether or not he's going to step down on the Viper and let the end go, or usually he'll kick wide and we get a free run. Well, we got 3 for 2 here. So somebody's coming free. And then again, we're playing trap all around. So the corners are, undercutting one, looking for the outcut, undercutting one, looking for something here. Safeties are getting over top. Now the Mike and the Rover are playing what we call cut to 2 and cut to 3. So he'd probably end up being in more like a 60 and him being like in a 10, because that's a long way for this guy to go. Like if he's got 2 up and in is what the cut means. So if 2's vertical, he's got to bust his ass to get out there. Same thing with the Rover. But again, it's, that's just, drawn, and then we'll go through it on, on the field and stuff. But that's kind of like how our progression will go. This will be one of the first pressures that what we put in, because we're going to already have taught, if I go back to the top, we're going to already have taught, the base stuff, here for the 2x2 open, and then here by the 3x1 open. So I do get a lot of questions on, motion check, right? What are we going to do if we're in this picture and we motion to 3x1? And that's kind of what I was talking about before. Like we'll progress where these guys can just rotate and we can get to that Apache coverage. But for installation point, we'll have a rule where we'll have a check where we motion to the Viper or motion away from the Viper. So really it all depends on what you want to do with your middle safety. If you want to keep him in the box. All right. So what we'll do is if we get motion to the Viper, we'll check 3 buzz. So we'll have the corner will go in between 1 and 2 and get down the third. The Viper will push to the flat. This safety will insert. He has 3 up as 3, keeps your Rover in the box. We'll lock this dude up. And then he's playing the backside scooch technique. So basically like he gets motion, we check buzz. He's getting his run pass read from this backside tackle. So like if he gets a high hat read and stands up, he becomes the free. If we get like, a zone or gap scheme, he's now after his 3rd scooch step and he gets run action his way, he becomes the run force. That way, because to me, it's like, why is he going to bail to the middle of the field if it's run? You know what I mean? We're losing.
And Coach, I get this question all the time, and I'm curious as to what you do, right? Pre-snap eyes, right, for your secondary guys, your safeties, and that. What are you telling them to watch for that run pass key?
So, I mean, for pre-snap, again, it all depends on coverage, right? So, like for me, like in this picture, like if it's the field safety to the side of the Viper, like he already knows he's a half defender. Like he doesn't even have to worry about. I mean, he'll be a late alley, but other than that, like, his eyes are strictly inside of looking at the number 2 receiver.
Got it.
Now the quarter safety to the right side here, our orange side, his eyes are right on that tackle because he's at about 8.5.
Because I go back and forth with it when it comes to that, right? In terms of, for me, as a safety, I was always taught end man on the line of scrimmage gives you your run pass key, right? But now with so many zones in RPO game, right? Like that guy could give a false key. So, it's do we read through, tackle or end man on the line of scrimmage through to the back or quarterback, right? So it's a question that I always get, and I always ask guys, what they do in their systems to kind of like, hash it all out.
Right. I mean, too, like for us, that's the benefit of having this guy here is because, he's a free hitter. Like the young man that played 2 years ago for us he had 92 tackles from this spot, so, I mean, he's going to get a good, but again, you need a guy there that you're going to trust to make an open field tackle. So his key is like a linebacker's key here. He's got the triangle guard tackle here for the middle safety. But for this safety, he's hot feet reading the tackle. All right. And again, because he'll be pressed, he's got all the one. So this safety, even if we get bubble, he's going to slow play the bubble, because if we're going to get bubble to this, which a lot of times we do, is we really stress the coaching point here from my corner is like his left hand is inside hand. he needs to get separation and keep his helmet to the outside because this guy's going to come downhill. Because that bubble, what it should do is, if we're doing our job, is force it back into the safety and into the rover. So again, it's the numbers game, right? They got 3. We have Jack, rover, safety, corner. We're 4 over 3. Right? 3 over 2 here, right? So like that's kind of like how we we'll go through like our pattern match stuff and recognition, because we are going to get a lot of quick throws and shots that way. But I think it comes back to fundamentals and how you teach it.
Do you guys get a lot of pin and pull RPO with like a bubble screen or switch routes or anything like that? Because it seems like, especially with trips, away from the trips.
So like here, Coach.
Yeah. So you could like, if I went pin and pull to the right, and bubble screen or rocket screen or anything like that on the trip side, you have like kind of possibly a numbers advantage offensively. Like how do you handle that?
So I mean, basically, what we do is we tell our box like you guys are going to handle the run, and we're +1 here with this fit here. If we get some type of bubble or even kind of some kind of jailbreak, like I feel pretty good that with our numbers. And again, if we're playing Tampa, this guy's a hard corner, right? So like even if they're going to throw a bubble, like we're going to keep outside leverage and kind of drive him. On an angle. Even if we're trapping, right, you're going to trap that bubble. All right. And even if you get like a bubble and go off it, like I'm good. Like I'm pretty confident with the numbers here. The one thing I will say, and kind of why we don't sit in this, for the most part is, that when you get the quarterback run game involved.
Right.
So you get that extra hat. So like again, like if we're gonna, it's like if we're playing you guys and I show you this, you're gonna go back and say, okay, we can get X, Y, and Z. So now you run your pin and pull with the screen off. All right, well, where did you hit us? Where did you hurt us? So now, what pressure now can we come up with, or what steps in front can we do to keep the integrity of the numbers, but also not get popped up big play?
Right. Because if you do pin and pull and the QB's reading the backside defender, whether it's the end or a linebacker, and if he's coming, he's going to throw that quick screen. If he's not, if he doesn't come, he's going to give or pull and run to the alley. So if they're chasing that bubble or whatever, so but it's interesting because it's like that rover is so key because you're using him for like everything, right? So he's your blitzer, he's your that runs to the middle of the field too, right? And your Tampa too.
Yep. So like, getting into like, the coverage discussion too is like when we get into our cover 7 worlds. I mean, our red coverage, like he's going to line up here, and we're going to play, we're Meg here, and then basically playing 2 read with the Viper and the safety on 2 and 3, and then we can bracket 1 or still keep our trap or invert rules. But again, he's the guy where you want him where all the action is.
Right.
Like if you're giving me the window dressing over here just to get him out of the box, well, now I'm going to get in my cover 7 stuff and keep him here.
He's your best defensive player, right? Your
100%.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's the guy that makes up for anything that could be a problem, right? He's got to be. That's the guy that you say, okay, who's the best player on my team? He has to be that rover.
Yep. I mean, and again, we're going to ask him. I mean, we're going to ask him to get up. I'll just go through a little bit, like. Again, like, so here's like our slide front out of Georgia. We're going to ask him to be a 30 backer in this, right? Okay. Here we go with our Badger front to the 2-back stuff. We're going to ask him to cover the Y, coming across on boot or if he inserts or anything like that. So now we're going to ask him to cover. All right. Well, now we get into, This world, we're going to ask him to play the middle third in a simulator. So it's like, here he's going to line up like he's coming in the B gap. All right. And then he's got 3 control with our, we look like we're sending 6, but we're actually rushing 4. You know what I mean? So it's a lot that builds up to it. But
right.
I ask a tremendous amount of that kid.
Right. Everybody else has their roles.
Yes.
Based off of, with doing but it's basically similar roles throughout the defense. But the rover's the guy.
Yes, sir.
Who's got to be able to adjust to everything.
Yep. No, 100%. Let me,
cool.
let me pull up, get the little drive going here. So like here, this is I think this is from the Glacier last year. Okay, but so here's that picture. Right? Here's our 3x1. Yep. Okay, so here's our rover right here. Right, we're playing trap on this side. Okay, so we're 4 over 3. All right, our box. All right, we got our box here. So again, they want to throw and this is our inter squad scrimmage. So this is against our offense. But here they want it. We send a 4-man pressure, right? So we send it. This is our Army pressure. This is our Mike in the A gap. All right. And again, so now we got numbers here. He's playing that trap technique, that scooch deal a little bit. Okay, now we get the ball out. Okay, so that's a good example of with the numbers. So now here's another deal. So we talked about moving him around. So now we're up. Now we're in a bear front. So now he's playing up on the line.
So this really takes advantage of where most defenses, no matter what they're running, the best players at a spot normally, and you could kind of go away from the guy because of the fact that unless he's your middle linebacker, I guess, but even there he's going to be stuck inside. So whereas this allows you to take your best player and bring them to their strength all the time. Am I correct on that?
Sure. Yeah. And like I said, for us, it's like you kind of have an idea where he is, but we do once we get into the season, once we get that first week done, because again, we have the advantage of spring football down here, right? So we got 19 practices in a game, in the spring.
Right.
So, obviously we got guys doing baseball, track, our rover this year, he's going to be a sophomore. He's a really good baseball player and he's going to run the 4x1. So we won't get him until probably after the first week's over. But then we still have 12 days of practice to get everything in with them. And then by the time we get to August, I mean, we're rolling, because the kids have had, that Jersey first August week is really our spring football.
Right.
And this is kind of our deal here. So this was my last year at Golden Gate. We're the #1 defense in the area, but I really hang my hat on, pressure and, bringing havoc. I really liked, Coach Brown's deal. So I asked him if I could use it and he was good with it. And it's something to dangle in front of the kids too. Right. So for us, we set a goal, starting in the season of 30% for the game. And then if they get the goal, then, because we have dinner every Wednesday night, so then they'll get something special with dinner. And if we get over 50%, I get on the smoker and I do pulled pork for them, but this is something that I've had a lot of coaches ask about it. And this is our formula. We take the sacks and the TFLs, the INTs, the forced fumbles and the third down stops and divide them over to the total plays of the game. And then, so our season average was 41% and, 96 TFLs, 31 sacks, 12 fumbles caused, and 13 interceptions. I mean, it was a really good group of kids, and looking forward to doing better with that in 25. Over at CSN.
It's interesting. So the design is to try and force them into uh, a turnover situations or put them in like real long yardage situation because they miss a block.
Yeah.
The rover, because when you look at it on the surface, you look at it and it looks just like a certain defense, but it's really not. I think
Right.
that's the so it looks like you're playing cover 2 or cover 4,
Yep.
um, but it's really not because that guy's taking away number 3, and then obviously also he's other times he's blitzing, he's moved around. He's essentially like he's a rover. I mean, it's like the old monster back times 1,000. You know what I mean? I
Yes.
don't know if you remember the old monster back where guys used to use that like.
Oh yeah, man. What's his name? Remember the Titans? Old 53 monster.
Yeah. That monster guy was kind of
Yeah.
like the havoc creator, right?
So yeah. So like, I mean, we talk about 6 seconds of havoc, like from the snap. Right. So that's kind of what we preach. We want the kids to, and again, one thing I stress, and this is my Manasquan roots, though, like I tell them all the time, I'm like, listen, if we can't line up in the base stuff and do our things fundamentally, we're not going to get to the fun stuff.
Right.
So they have the first 6 days of camp to put our coaching staff under the impression that they understand all the basics before we start adding into the pressure world. But Coach Schu, I think this is a good slide. What you were kind of asking about and talking about a little while ago was like why this defense, right? Well, numbers everywhere, athletes on the field, the 6 seconds of havoc, being able to disguise. We do not take guys off the field as far as like we're going to be a 3 down, a 4 down, a 5 down, a double mug A gap. We're going to use the same 11 guys. And we're going to stem to it most of the time. The only time we'll take guys off the field is when we play like a single wing team. I'm going to take a DB off for a lineman just because I have to. But my whole thing and with the fronts and the gap control is one of the things that I talk to our coaches about. Like we're going to dictate to the offense, right? Like we're showing up. This is who we are. This is how we roll. This is how we do things. So we're going to dictate to the offensive coach and the offensive staff how we do things. And then it's like, well, then we get into the world of like, well, how do you handle tempo? All right, well, are we talking like Scott Frost tempo? Or are we talking, the head coach's kid is in art class and he did some really cool signs. So they're going to run to the line and stand there for 30 seconds.
Right.
So it's like, that's kind of, but what we'll do is, and I'm going back a ways a little bit, but I can remember when Coach Ederly was at RBC, and we would have 2 scout team huddles because he ran so much tempo, and that's kind of how I took that from when we would face teams down here that were really really fast tempo, which only like 1 or 2 a year,
right?
But I took that practice from Coach Kaboo and Coach Reed and those Cahill and those guys and Coach Price. That, hey, this is how we're going to practice it. And as a young coach, that was something that I always remembered, and fortunate enough to be able to use that strategy down here too. But to me, like one of the biggest things that you have to be able to get ready for is like a 12 personnel team,
Right.
Because I go back to, I think it was the Camping World Bowl like 5 or 6 years ago. And Iowa State played Notre Dame, and I think it was like one of Brian Kelly's first years. And Notre Dame was losing at halftime, and they came out in 12P and just ran inside zone to death for the rest of the game. So really for us, it's how are we going to handle, that? And I can pull up.
Yeah.
I can
because that's what I think most if a team has the capability to do it, that's what they would try to do, because you have so many of your guys on the outside. Are
Yes.
you also like where do you want them to run? Are you spill and kill? Are you trying to force them back inside? We're
a spill team.
Okay, spill team. Yep.
Yeah, 100% a spill team. 100% a spill team.
You want me to get Yep. So you'll try and you'll blitz the middle to be able to get them, force them. Yep. To run outside. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because again, that's to me, that's where our
your guys
right?
are. Yeah.
That's our speed. So let me pull up the 12 piece stuff. That's that. So here we go. So like here, okay. So we get the tight end wing over. So this is I use our offensive terminology, call it right crazy dot. So this would be our dot check. So we'd play coverage here and lock the mic up on the tight end and lock the corner up on the wing. And then we'd basically play like an under front. So it'd be 3-5 back here. And now the rover he's basically an A gap to the ball player. So like if we were to get like speed option, we're gonna slow play, because again, we don't. It's weird. Like I maybe you guys see it different, but like I don't understand why offensive guys don't arc the 5. Like we'll get him coming down on the 3 and double, and the Vipers the read here. But like to me, it's like if you arc it, now you're gonna be able to seal this guy. You just pitch the ball and you're running for fun. But we don't see the arc down here. I don't know why. And then here,
you would do, Dave, like if you were trying to counter this?
For me, yeah, like if I saw, two things. Like if it depends on the big thing for me, if I was an offensive coordinator going against this,
right?
Now I'm obviously seeing his offense, so I know that his rover. I would find out. Okay, this is if this rover's the best guy. I'd want to know where he is, and then dictated based off of where that guy is would be how I would try to call my offense. And I would try
call it away from him or something.
Well, it depends, because it would be a number. It would then become a numbers game for me. So like he's trying to trap me. I'm trying to outnumbers him, right? So I would probably try to do a lot of QB run or QB power against it if I had a guy that could, if I had a quarterback that could run, because it would give me a potential plus one inside. But I would probably try some sort of 12 personnel and some sort of like heavy 12 personnel, meaning like what you see here, almost everybody to one side. See how he plays it, to the backside, and try to kind of play that game as he's playing his game with me. So,
of course,
that would
which is what's great about football.
Yeah,
right? That's the best part.
I would probably spend most of my time trying to locate where this kid is, the R, because that would be where I would say, okay, if this guy's really. If he's that good, right? And, I'm sure he has years where that guy's unbelievable. He has years where that guy's very good. It really depends on obviously the, kind of kids he has. But if that guy's really, really good, then I'm trying to do stuff, away from him. If he's pretty good, then because we might have more numbers where that guy is, I would try to go towards him. So it really would be how good that guy is, and then how good those 3 D linemen are. So
right, because if you have some 3 daddies that could really control that front with 3 homies, like now you're changing. You know what I mean? Like, and look, Coach, I'm sure you get some of those dudes that are, especially down there, they're probably, converted linebacker type dudes that are athletic as hell that can, play multiple and run and chase all over the place. You know what I mean? When you have that, and look, I'll hang my hat on that any day of the week. When you're good up front, offensively or defensively, you know what I mean? When you can control that front with your guys that with their hands in the ground, like it's just a game changer for everything. And honestly, like that's just, if you can focus on that, especially with only 3 guys doing it, right? And then have that rover who's really like a dude and he can be all over the place. Like now it's, here we go.
Yeah. I mean, and kind of because we get a lot of duo out of this stuff. So like basically if we're going to get hurt anywhere, like we have the option to like stem this guy down and kick his front. So now we're like a mint, like a 0, 2, 4 eyes. And now he can now kind of expand to a 30 and he can be a 30 here. And we still have edge run support on both sides. So that's kind
what
of
I like about it is it basically, whereas like I said before, most defenses today try to put everybody in a spot, right,
Mhm.
and play ball, and whether they have great schemes or what, but play ball. What his defense does that's different is it takes that old 53 monster concept where, like, you know what, I have my normal guys, they're all pretty good, but I have this one guy. Everybody can get one guy on their. Everybody has a guy on their team, right? So let me take that guy, and just like you would on offense, he might be your running back, right, or your whatever your offense is, whatever you're specializing in. Maybe it's your running back, maybe it's your quarterback. Well, this allows you to do that with your defense, which I think is really what makes it unique because, exactly, like, remember the Titans, that was actually a big thing back in those days. That was to take that kind of guy, and let him be the guy. That's really what you're doing in a modern defense, though. Which is really interesting. Really,
you know what, Dave? I think it takes.
I haven't seen a lot of this, so
I think it takes the whole world of Jimmys and Joes, right? Like, I mean, the first thing we always talk about is like, look, we can X and O, and Coach Nymphius has mentioned it a bunch of times, right? Like, we can X and O, and we can scheme, and we can game plan, and we can do all this. But if that guy's just better, right?
Well,
like
in high school, I think this defense allows you to have all your guys. They could be, obviously, the better your players are, the better you're going to be in it. But it allows you to put all your guys in spots where you think they might play best, and just say, hey, this guy is so good, which everybody has usually one of those guys, and he's gonna make up for shortfalls, which a lot of times you get stuck with him as your middle linebacker, or you're stuck with him as your safety, right? And the team does things against him, and you put him as a outside linebacker, let's say, take away his side. Well, there's still the other side, right? There's still the other side where they could run to, and if the other side is a little weaker, that guy stuck on the backside, he's just screwed. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
it's almost like
you're not screwed where your best player is stuck somewhere.
Right. And I also think as an offensive guy to now really kind of not know exactly where this guy's going to be, right?
Yeah.
Like, because he can bounce around and move and go from here to there and do a lot of things. Like, now as an offensive guy, like, I'm lining up, calling a play, thinking he's going to be here. And now all of a sudden he's not, he's somewhere else and he's doing something else. Right. So I think that creates a lot of challenges for an offensive guy.
Very interesting. It's very interesting.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's been, it's been a work in progress. I mean, obviously every year we go different places and, talk to different coaches and things like that. So it's to kind of add things every year and,
Coach, I think and like you said, you talked about Don Brown, right? Like you want to think, like, when I look at this, I think right away, like when he had Jabril Peppers, right? Who could do a lot of things in a lot of different positions. And this is kind of like his spot, right? Like a guy that could come off the edge and blitz, a guy that can play safety, a guy that can cover a guy like out on an island by himself. I just feel like that's kind of where it like kind of started to brew, and now you've just taken it and kind of dialed it into your system with the guys that you have, and then obviously what you see, which I think is I think it's awesome. I think it's interesting as hell. Like, Dave, there's no doubt in my mind that Troy could play Rover.
Just so you know. Although actually, on my team, actually, there's another kid that would probably be the best guy for that. But
then Troy would be the over-the-top safety, like Coach said, the long-range
safety in it. There's another guy that's that guy.
Right,
that literally is that guy. Like, I have a kid that literally is that guy. That's what I'm saying. Is you
every team.
So like normally we would get stuck with that guy at defensive end, or outside, like coming off the edge to the strong side all the time, which is positive, but teams will go away from him and be like, you know what, let's test this other side and make that kid make a mistake at some point, and we're going to get points, right? And That's what I like about this. You really like, and it does slow down your no huddle a little bit too, because if that guy is that good and the other players play off of it really well, then you, instead of kind of going, it's going to be hard to go Frost style no huddle, because you may end up running right into that good player and you're going to get pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
So you're really going to have to read and react, which you could. I don't know if you do this or not. Do you do anything where you like stem one thing and then when they call their play, show something different? I thought that was one of the best things ever. When I was running no huddle, North Jersey, when we were in the playoffs down here, I never saw anybody do it. But
wait, adjust down here? Come on now.
Well, so for example, we played this is years ago. So I'm showing my age, but we played a team in the state playoffs, and it was basically an upset. We beat them by a lot, and we were no huddle, and they never adjusted, and we knew that they never were going to adjust. So we just came at them, and we just had numbers at every spot. But then the next year we played that exact team in actually the first round instead of semifinals, and they beat us. And what he did was brilliant. He kind of had like a little scat defensive huddle and waited for our guys to kind of he would never give me a real look. And then they would just line up. And they played a lot of man. It was tough. It was tough from that standpoint. But it was good because I really just had to go and call my play. Like there was nothing for me to really look at. So it was really smart. And then within the game, you're trying to adjust, and you'd never seen a team do that. So I was curious if you ever stem anything, because that rover allows you to do that, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, so what we've done in the past is, because everybody out here plays on Friday. So, so what I've done is I've sent like a younger coach, and I have him go chart because we're going to get the film. I mean, unless he sees something that's like, ridiculous, write it down. But I'll have him go chart when they snap the ball, every snap on the play clock, and I'll get an average for those games. And then when we stem, we have our play clock turned on at practice. So we'll have a period where I'll tell the Mike linebacker, hey, during this period, we have like 14 snaps. All right, when the clock hits 12, you're gonna yell move, and then we'll stem to our
awesome.
Stem to our Florida front, our Georgia front, whether we're gonna or back out of something. If we're gonna show our UMass front, which is a double mug A gap, and we're gonna back out of it. Because at the end of the day, they're still high school offensive linemen, and they have rules. And if the quarterback wants the ball snapped and we're moving and your rule just left, generally that's a good advantage for us.
Right.
So yeah, we've done that pretty successfully over the past 5 years.
And you have play clocks, Coach?
Yeah.
See, like that, Dave, like you see, like, and Coach, we've gone back and forth with, talking to guys in different states about the level of football and how things, what we can do and can't do and all this other kind of stuff. Like, Dave, just like something like that, like having play clocks, right? Like within high school football itself.
Almost everywhere they
that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like,
except for New Jersey.
I mean, look, it's the same
why
argument.
they don't have it in the
back
back of the end zone. Everybody should have a play clock to be able to see.
100%. And we've talked about this. Like, that stuff matters, right? Like, and now, like when you get to the next level, it's just another level of adjustment you don't have to make because you've been playing in Florida with play clocks. Like, these
Correct.
little things.
Correct. 100%.
Not to mention 19 spring practices, Coach, but I'm not jealous or anything.
Well, hey man, it was weird for me when I first got down here. So used to it now.
Well, the great thing about the play clock is the players can literally look at it as opposed to guessing, which is like, and you know how it is when it's up to the referees. One guy's play clock is short, the other guy's is long.
You're like, his hand's moving, right? His hand's moving.
You don't even know what it is. But the beauty of the play clock is everybody in the stadium could see that number counting down. So,
here it goes.
That's the beauty of it. So
no doubt.
No, awesome stuff, Coach. Really, really great stuff. It's very, very. It's that concept, I can't get over the fact that I just love the fact that your best player has an opportunity to not get caught where he's not going to come out of a game saying, "Oh man, all they did is run away from me." You know what I mean? Type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not going to, and he's not going to come to you and be like, "Coach, these ran away from me. What am I going to do in this situation?"
Yeah.
And there's nothing, and there's nothing you can do. And it's really, really, it's great stuff. Great stuff.
I appreciate it. If any coaches, this is my website, the fbcoachgibbs.com, but like I have free downloads for guys that want, take a look at the call sheet, template, grade sheet, presentations, things like that. And then if somebody's curious as far as installation process, this is a free video that's up. It goes into 10, 11, and 12 personnel. Installs about 20-minute video, so you can pop on that. Anybody interested in the system, there's the CoachTube courses, all that. I got a book, system book coming out end of January. That'll be on the website. So, but yeah, man, it's been a process, but I enjoy doing this stuff to help coaches, and it's just giving back to the game that's given me so much, and wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys about the game of football, man. So it's pretty cool.
Coach, you can't thank you enough for coming on. This is great, dude. I learned a ton. Like I said, I actually played in my junior year in high school, and sophomore year of high school I was the safety, but my junior year of high school I was the head coach was like a very good defensive guy. Oh, he was okay offensively, but defensively he was very good. And he had me playing that rover spot. And I remember it was I had like 100 plus tackles that year. Next year, the guy did, thought his genius idea was to line me up at outside linebacker on the weak sides. He wanted me to carry the ball 35 times. But the year before this guy he died, Steve Gertie was a legendary coach in North Jersey. Anyway, but it was great because I played that rover spot. And I just remember there was and it wasn't the way that you do it. I love the way that you do it because I feel like he played a version of the Remember the Titans defense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The monster.
But I remember if the team was passing, I was involved in pass coverage. If the team was running, I was right in the mix of the run game. And it allowed me to always be involved in the game. And it helped our defense tremendously. So our middle linebacker, who was just an excellent tackler, right? He didn't have to worry about and he was physical. He didn't have to worry about making sideline to sideline tackles, which wasn't within his athletic kind of scope, right? So that's where I was able to come in. I could clean things up. I could, if he didn't get there, I cleaned up because I would run free a lot of the time. I literally would run free, but it wasn't like playing safety running free. I was so close. I was closer to the ball, and your way that you're doing it is, I think, the next evolution of that. Really, it's an evolution of it because you're moving them all over the place and taking advantage of the skill sets and making the team say, find that guy.
Yep.
And if you don't take the time to find out who that guy is, you're going to be in big trouble.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. And like I said, it's a ever changing process, but just trying to find that right kid for that spot. And I think we'll have a pretty good one for the next 3 years. So, and
that's incredible that kid's going to be able to do that, right? Like as a freshman. And coach, we've talked off air and whatnot, and I've, you've sent me some of his tapes. I mean, he's a dog. He can play the game. He's kind of like, he's that guy already, Dave. Like, that's, put it that way. Hopefully his measurables kind of catch up and people see what it is. But I mean, this is just an exciting position to play, right? Like, I go back to my days of just playing free safety where, basically like you lock up both corners and you're freaking just kind of roaming in the middle. And this allows you to kind of really do everything you want to do. If you're that player, like this is a position where you're constantly involved, right? And that's really what you want, right? Because you don't, like you said, Dave, you don't want to be the guy that comes off the field and coach, they ran away from me all game.
Well, I'll use the example. So I would have been the rover in my high school in that defense, in this defense. Coach. You would have been the rover in your high school in this defense. So you're no longer trying to figure out, oh, you know what? Like Dave's a bigger guy, 6'1", 215 pounds. Should he be playing middle linebacker? No, he plays the rover, right? Derek is 5'9", 160 pounds, right? Still playing the rover. He's still that guy. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like shape, form, or anything. It's like, this is the best guy, the guy who's going to make and I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, I kind of overemphasized it, but it also allows to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, and I'll let you go. I don't want to hold you up. But it also allows your other players to be freer. They like
correct
kids who could do certain things well.
Yep.
They can just go and do that well. They don't have to overcompensate for this or overcompensate for. They can play their role really, really well, knowing that you have a guy who most of the time can clean things up if there's if something goes wrong, which I think is cool.
And Dave, I think you said it best. Like every team has this guy, right? And look, coaches may now say, "Oh, but it's our quarterback and it's this and it's that." Yeah. Dude, if you want to win games, like this is what it is, dude. Go figure it out. You know what I mean? Coach, absolutely. I appreciate it, man. Love what you do. All the content you give back, dude. It's so much. Also, you know, I can't not mention your daughter and all that stuff that's been going on. I mean, it's great. You know, she had her own ESPN spotlight, man. She Coach, you better watch out, dude. She's going to take your job, buddy.
I'm definitely going to be working for her someday.
That's
great. I mean, we got, so we're heading to Charlotte. Middle of the month, she got named AFCA 35 under 35 at the age of 13.
I saw
she wrote her own paper, man. She wrote a 1,600-word essay on my defense, and then she mixed in some of Saban's cover 7. And then, you know, we just got back, you know, from New York. Holly Rowe invited her up for the Heisman Trophy presentation, so we were there all weekend, and it's been great, man. You know, as a dad, you want your kids to have it better than you, and she's certainly done a lot more in 13 years of her life than I ever did playing outside linebacker at freshman football at Manasquan High School at 13. So
it's all good, Coach. Listen, It's okay. We're okay with it. So you know what I mean? Like it's good, but Coach, it's awesome. I appreciate you taking the time, man. If you ever need anything, let us know. And we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a great day, Coach.
You too.
That was awesome.
It's so cool.
Really, really very, very, very interesting stuff. And if I hadn't played in it that 1 year where I was actually a rover, and
you wouldn't get it.
It was an old school version, but I just remember making a bazillion. Like there was no play.
Mean, we ran that, like we did the same type of thing like when I was in like middle school, right? And it was like, oh my God, like I'm in a position to like be within the play almost every play, right? And that's kind of. You know what I mean? Like,
I love this how he moves them to one side now, and all. So it's really
I look, and everybody thinks like, oh, 3 safety defense, like, oh, 1, 2, 3 over the top, right? Like, oh, it's just quarters, or it's just cover 3. It's just this. This guy especially like that's why I think it's cool. Like for you as an offensive guy, like, okay, what would you do to this? And you're like, well, damn, like just think about it. Like you literally have to evaluate who that guy is. And then decide, all right, am I going at him? Am I going away from him? And what am I going to do? And then, like you said, if it kills your tempo because you might line up and do something, and now all of a sudden, like, look, that whole stem, like within a certain time period too, like, think about that. Like you're talking high school kids here, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like adjustments on the fly, motioning a guy from one side to the other is difficult. And then
makes it hard,
you know?
Definitely makes it very hard.
Yeah, because now you have to.
Like I said, Cranford, that was the most. That was like
it was brutal.
I outsmarted him the year before. What was great was I outsmarted him the year before,
and then it just full circle.
I took a team that was we were really good, but I thought he was better, a little better, like personnel wise, and we beat the snot out of them. The next year, we really had the better, I thought, athletic team, and he really had some holes, and he used the stemming to screw up. And by the time, remember, like I always say, high school kids will most of the time play, at least half of them playing both sides of the ball. So if they're struggling on offense and now they go line up on defense, like there's no other way around. It carries with them, right? It carries with them. So carries with them.
I mean, think about it. Like especially high school football, where a lot of those guys have to go both ways and things of that nature. You know what I mean? Like you don't get time to pull them off
down
the
a few touchdowns because they're down mentally, and then by the time you get it fixed at halftime, like we were storming back, but literally they were up. I think like
there's not enough time.
We were coming back. It's too late. It was just we
just run out of time.
You can't get close enough. By the time you make that, and you're trying to make with high school kids, depending on the group, you can make. But
it's extremely difficult. I don't care what anyone says.
Halftime's really the first time if they're not getting what you're trying to get across.
Right.
And
I mean, think
honestly,
about it. How many times can you
never showed stemming ever in any game? So
and that's the other part. You can do everything under the sun, Dave, and you can go back and you can look at every single freaking game tape from every pit. And if somebody wants to roll something out,
it's awesome. That's the great thing about football.
That's what's great about football, man. It's awesome.
Roll something out that week, man. Roll it out, and that's it.
Here we go, buddy.
Let me run because I got to go on a little Husky Hoops action now.
Boom.
So I know they probably already started.
You're good. Tomorrow we have Adam Griggs, tight ends coach from URI.
Oh, that sounds great. Awesome. Great. All right. Well, we'll see. Same time?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. All right. We will see you tomorrow.
We'll talk some Husky Hoops, bro.
All right. People like by the